We'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our Bountiful City Council meeting, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Pam Edwards. Thank you so much, Pam, for helping us with that. We will now turn the time over to Pastor Josiah Walker from the Redeeming Life Church for our opening prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. It's an honor to be here. I'd like to pray for us now. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity that we have this evening to gather together, to seek to lead our city well. Lord, thank you specifically for Mayor Harris, for our council members, Lord, for the time and the talent that they offer our great city. Lord, I pray this evening as they look at tough decisions and difficult matters that are addressing and facing our citizens today. Lord, I pray that you would give them wisdom, guidance, and direction on how to best lead our city. Thank you for our police officers and our firefighters who work so hard to protect us and to be there for us in times of emergencies or crisis when we need them the most. Lord, just like you did last year, I pray tonight that you would continue to send us rain this fall and snow this winter that would fill up our rivers, our streams, and our lakes, that would continue to see an end to the drought that we've been battling for so long. I thank you for the opportunity that we have as citizens to come together to seek to make Bountiful the great city that it is. Lord, I pray that you would continue to bless this city and their citizens. That Bountiful City would be a city known here in Utah where people want to work, where they want to live, where they want to play, because of how great it is to be a part of this part of our valley and our state. Lord, I thank you for all that you're doing here, and I thank you for the opportunity that each of us have to be a part of it. It's in your name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor Walker, for that beautiful invocation. And we'd love for you to stay as long as you need, but we understand if you need to go. But thank you for helping us open that meeting. We'll now turn the time over to public comment. We'd like to hear from anyone who would like to speak. The time is yours now. If you'd like to speak, come forward and state your name. And 2 minutes is the limit. Seeing no public comment, we'll move to consider approval of minutes from previous meetings held September 12th, 2023.
Mayor, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. And now we'll move to council reports. We'll start with you, Councilman Higginson.
Nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Segura Bar.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilwoman Price Hewish.
I would just like to recognize and encourage the Bountiful Davis Art Center for the great work that they're putting forward. They've just opened 5 new exhibitions this past weekend, and if you love art, you should just get on down there because it's amazing. And I'd like to also recognize a very cool collaboration that the Bountiful Davis Art Center is doing with the Bountiful Museum, where they're staying open extra late on Monday evenings, just a couple of Monday evenings. One was last night and another one in October for kind of a collaborative night at the museum, is what they're calling it. And so you could hit the BDAC and the Bountiful Historic Museum, which they're both on Main Street, so there can't be anything better than that. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you. I'll just report on a few of the committees that assignments that I have. The South Davis Fire District did increase their taxes 18.6%, and all of that went to salaries. And so the firefighters were there at the last meeting to show appreciation, and they have already received that difference now, and have received those increases. South Davis Sewer District, where I also serve on the board, the State Division of Water Quality has imposed really stringent limits on them, and so they need to plan for a $60 million increase in the cost for their treatment plant upgrades in 2024, and so they have a public hearing scheduled for December 7th. It's Truth and Taxation at 6 p.m., and they are considering a tax increase which would go into effect in January of 2024. And so that would be for next year's property tax, and it would be a difference of probably around $48 a year or $4 per month for the average homeowner. So it's really hard to see those kind of tax increases, but at the same time, it's one of those things where with the sewer district, it's not just one of those nice to have things. It's a necessity, and they have these new requirements imposed upon them, and so they need to make adjustments. And so just wanted to report to the council on that. Councilman Bell.
So I want everybody to take out your phones and your calendars and put down on December 19th. It's a Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. We'll have the Gibbons Family Christmas Show. The Gibbons family are right here in Bountiful, and they're going to be treating us and helping us get into the Christmas spirit. Tickets are available here at the City Building and on the Showtix website. They're $20, and I hope to see all of you there. This goes to pay for our summer concerts that will happen next summer. So we're really looking forward to it, and grateful for Richard Watson, who's helped put this together and organize our concerts. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bradshaw.
I'm lucky enough to live across the street from the Gibbons family, and if you haven't had an opportunity to hear their family perform before, they do neighbor concerts for us. Every single member of their family is incredibly musically gifted. And in fact, it appears to marry into the family. You have to also be musically gifted because they're a very impressive group. My report for the Recreation District, I gave an update last meeting and gave a date for the Rec District's Truth and Taxation hearing. It's since been updated. The county required that we change the date in order to conform to their mailing deadlines for public notices. So the Recreation District's tax increase Truth and Taxation meeting will be November 6th at 6 p.m. At the Recreation District on the second floor in the community rooms. There's also been a change to the calculation percentage. The motion that passed included a dollar total, and when the staff had an opportunity to calculate that dollar total versus the back of the napkin guess in the meeting where that passed, it's actually 142% tax increase. And as I've reported before, I continue to have concerns about the tax increase and the overall fiscal strength of the Recreation District, which I can expand on for anyone that would like to at a later point.
Thank you very much for that update. We will now consider approval of expenditures greater than $1,000 paid September 6th and 13th in 2023 and the July 2023 financial report.
Mayor, I'd move to approve all three of those as printed.
Second.
That's seconded by Councilman Bell. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we have the fun part where we get to recognize the Assistant Chief, Dave Edwards, and I'll turn the time over to Chief Beeler, who is going to talk about Assistant Chief Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor and members of the council, for allowing us some time to recognize one of our finest. We've had a few legacy retirements over the last few months, and this is going to be no different. Assistant Chief Edwards has worked at Bountiful for 31 years. And in those 31 years, he has definitely touched almost every, and influenced almost every component of things that have happened over that time period. Just quickly, some of his assignments that he's had, of course, patrol in detectives. And in detectives, he handled some of our most disgusting and gruesome cases with whether it be homicide or child sexual abuse and other sexual abuse cases. And those are definitely the most difficult ones that we often have to handle. And he did those with honor and really took care of our citizens who were victims of those types of crimes. He was in Metro Narcotics for another period of time and did fantastic work there, and ended up being a supervisor in that particular group. And so working with drug abuse and cells and that sort of stuff. So did an outstanding job there. Definitely a big component that we have talked about in the past as well is working in our schools. He was a school officer at South Davis Junior High for I don't know how many years, but an extremely long time. 16 years at the junior high school. Built fabulous relationships with the staff there, the students there, of course, who often come up to us who have worked in our schools at various times and still remember the police officers that work there. But not only at that school, I think Muir and Tolman, any others?
Oh, yeah, Muir, Tolman, and Bountiful Elementary.
Yeah, so various elementaries as well, and again, built some of those relationships with those people as well. A big part of our firearms and tactics group, I think from very early on, when I first started, we used to shoot up at the Lions Range for our qualifications, and generally it was just a paper target, and you stand static on a line and shoot some shots and call it a day. With Dave's influence there, starting there, and of course progressing on, has definitely transitioned us to down at the Tire House, and then a much more real life scenario style training for us that really progressed us really much faster than anybody could have imagined, and definitely more than any of our partners around us at the time. Very innovative. Works tirelessly. One of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker that we've had at the police department for sure. And one thing that I mentioned at his retirement party that I think is worth mentioning here is sometimes it's easy to do a lot of work in a job or an assignment that you want to have or you're excited about. Dave always did a good job and worked tirelessly with that same work ethic, even at assignments that are not the most exciting assignments, or maybe ones that people didn't want to have, and you would never know that he didn't want to have it. So really did just a fantastic job there. And then I'd also mention the emergency preparedness work that he did in helping the city become much more prepared for our emergencies, and getting that group up and running who work for our CERT program and our Emergency Preparedness Council and that sort of stuff. Has really done an amazing job at getting that, like I said, up and running and getting us through some of the disasters that we've unfortunately had to go through, some windstorms and a fire and those types of items. His wife has been amazing and amazing support, and the rest of his family as well, and so it would we should recognize her for her efforts and going through some of the long nights and long days and difficult situations that we have to go through. So I very much appreciate Dave and the work that he's done for the department, for me personally. He had already been here when I started here, so definitely a mentor and a help for me in my law enforcement career, and then of course serving as an assistant chief and helping us progress our police department to where we are now. So thanks, Dave, and thanks, Pam, for all of your hard work, and I'll turn some time over to him now.
Wow, what a ride. I do appreciate being recognized here, Mayor and Council. It's but the recognition really, to some degree, would go to everyone. And I'll bend your ear for just a moment with some of that and say thank you to all of you for taking care of Bountiful Police Department. And we've been really grateful to have the interest and the involvement with the city and the city council that we've enjoyed over the years of my career. And truly a spirit of collaboration and knowing that you genuinely care for each of us and for our families. and for all of the city employees. It's definitely a unique situation to feel that way about the city council. I would also like to thank and offer gratitude to the unique situation that we have here with the city departments, because some of the most fun things that I've enjoyed are working with engineering and learning so much from Tyson since Tyson came, and working with him with grants and feeling his ruler across my fingers a few times, those kinds of things. But it's unique. The street department, the power department, Alan and Charles, some of the most amazing men I've worked with in my career, men and women across the city, and the collaboration and the feeling of family. And really a big influence in that was Gary Hill, as he came in as a new feeling and city manager and a new direction in how the city would be run. And it's been that way to some extent my entire career, but it's only increased since Gary came here. And I can't thank all of the departments and Gary View for the leadership in that direction, and the family events that we have and our employee events that we've enjoyed, because it makes a difference and it lowers the stress and it creates a work environment where you want to come to work. I had a conversation with Mayor Harris the other day. I was talking about this, that anecdote that everybody says about having a job where you'll never work a day. I've never worked a day for you because I've loved every minute of it. Hardest thing is to leave this career. I want to talk for just a second about the police department and what amazing men and women there are there. That's incredible to me, the people we've been able to hire and bring along that I've been able to learn from. Even our newest hires, there's things that I'm learning from them every day that you hated to leave their tutoring from our newest people, and their passion for the job and their passion for protecting our citizens and being willing to sacrifice to do so. The leadership of our police department, to leave it in such great hands. Some of the most amazing men I've met are our newest lieutenants, David Gill and Andrew Smith. True servant leaders, and truly passionate and dedicated, as are our entire department. But the leadership we have here, it's fun to leave it in such amazing hands, and to leave it that type of knowing it's going to go places I could never have taken it with the amazing people that are following me, the men and women that are coming behind me. And especially Chief Beeler. It's just, his leadership's amazing, and it's a privilege to work for him and with him and to learn from him. One of the things you may not know is that from early in my career, I broke my back. Clear back when I was a reserve officer, before I was full-time here. And they taught me to dispatch at that time, because it was basically put me in there so that I could be employed and learn to dispatch while you heal. We don't care if you lay on a cot back there, but I met the most amazing people in the dispatch center, and they trained me to dispatch. And then over the years, it was an opportunity for me to work in there and have overtime to help support my family and to learn from them. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that is the toughest job that I endured. I found it to be equally as difficult as working sex crimes, because of that feeling, the answering the phone. I can still remember my first 911 call that I answered. At that time, we were very small, and I had been left alone in the center. I was the only person in the dispatch center in the old building over there. There was a little girl that said, "My daddy's on the couch and he's all blue," and trying to then be responsible for those lives. And I'd been conditioned my whole life to go fix it, go and to be there on the phone and to have those ups and downs. The dispatchers that I've worked with over the years and what they endure in those phone calls and the responsibility they have, it's amazing. The quality of people there and the compassion and empathy that they bring every day, equal to our police officers. They are just amazing people. And as I sort of end my time here, I just ask for you to continue to take care of our Bountiful Police Department employees and take care of our dispatchers and police officers as you have over these years. And again, express my gratitude to you for the opportunity to make a difference. Those school assignments, I loved every second of it. And I took more away than I gave from those opportunities and the interacting with the school people and the kids. And I've felt that way my entire career. What a privilege to be here and work for this community. What a privilege to work with these men and women in all of our departments. And I can only say thank you. Appreciate every minute of it.
Do you mind if we let Pam take just a couple minutes?
I would love to. I actually prepared a list. I have a speech. I'm grateful for this opportunity I have to say thank you. Emotions are coming up. I didn't realize would show up, but I am so grateful for this chance to say thank you to all of you for the support that you give our police department. I'm grateful for all that you do for the Bountiful City. We love this city. It's an amazing place to be. I'm grateful for this time that he's had to be a police officer, and for the there isn't any time that we can go anywhere that people don't recognize him and thank him, and it's a privilege to be able to stand next to him as they say thank you to both of us. There's a couple people that I'd like to name personally by name. That's Grant Hodgson, Paul Rapp, Tom Ross, and Ed Beeler. The impact that they've had on our lives and our families' lives it's unmatched, and we'll forever be grateful for all that they've done for us. I was visiting with my son the other day, and this quote came up. He said it to me, and it's kind of resonated and stuck with me. And the quote is, and you may have heard this quote, it is, "Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. It's called the present." And I'm super grateful for the history that we have, for the lessons that we've learned, and for the knowledge that we've gained. I'm excited for today and the present, and happy to be in the present of today. And I'm super excited for the mysteries of tomorrow and for the adventures that are to come for us. We're excited for this. And again, thank you so much.
Well, Assistant Chief Edwards, we just want to thank you so much for your many years, 31 years. My goodness, that's amazing. And all the things that Chief Beeler talked about, you know, in the 8 years that I was on the city council and now as the mayor, I've really thought of you as the champion for emergency preparedness, and we've been able to put that to the test with, like Chief said, with the windstorm and the fire. And so having those people ready to go and man the call center, and seeing you at the emergency preparedness fairs, and just knowing that our city was more prepared because of you, and for these life and death situations, that's huge. And so we appreciate your work with the CERT organization and for all that you've done. And I remember getting an email, and they were asking us about earthquake preparedness, and I forwarded that email to you, and I said, let me make sure that the right person who actually knows the answer for this email can get back to you. And I knew that you would know the answers. But anyway, we're just so grateful for the blood, sweat, and tears and the years that you've given Bountiful City, and we just can't thank you, and Pam, you as well. Thank you so much for all that you've given. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Chief Edwards, I'm sorry, I have one more thing for you. We have a check here for you to present, so let me come and give that to you.
I tried to escape, you know, so.
Thank you so much. Thank you, yes. Thank you. Well, I wasn't surprised to hear that Pam works at Bountiful High. Pam and Assistant Chief Edwards do a lot for this community, so we really appreciate you both. Thank you. Okay, we will now consider approval of a roof repair agreement. Mr. Brock Hill.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I appreciate your time tonight. I bring before you the maintenance shop roof repair at the golf course for your consideration. The maintenance building at the golf course was built originally when the course was in 1975. And then an addition to that building was made in 1986. And since then, the roof has just received a few minor repairs and major repairs as needed due to storms. We're experiencing a lot of failure in the roof at this time. You can see there in the staff report that we're experiencing missing panels. It is a metal roof, so we're experiencing missing panels. We've got seams that are coming apart. We have holes in the roof from penetrations that have gone bad and equipment that's been added. So it's time that we do something about it. We've been dealing with it for several years, and it's finally come to the point where we've got some money in the budget that's been approved already, and I bring before you your consideration to approve the construction. We reached out to 3 different roofing companies, Redline Roofing, Garland Roofing, and Phillips Construction, and we received 2 responsible bids in our communications with them. One refused to bid at all. He didn't have room in his schedule. Redline Roofing came in at $36,957, and Garland Roofing for $80,000. Staff recommends the council authorize the golf maintenance staff to enter into a roof repair agreement with Redline Roofing as the low bidder in the amount of $36,957 for the replacement of the metal roof at the maintenance shop at the golf course. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
I have one question for me. Is this expected to be completed before winter, or?
Yeah, they're ready to go now. They have materials in their yard, so it could be delivered as soon as we give them word and contracts are signed.
Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Redline Roofing for $36,957 as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Brock.
you.
Okay, we'll now turn the time over to Alan Johnson to consider approval of Resolution 2023-14.
Yes, Mayor and Council, it's great to be here tonight. Excuse me. This first item that I have is for the resolution, which I'm hoping the 3rd time's the charm. Like I say, for those of you who've been back here, we originally started work on this project a number of years ago, and in 2020, we actually got it approved for a 25-year power purchase agreement for solar, which would be up in near Plymouth, is just off the freeway. As we come back in, we ran into problems with delivery and the sales, and anyway, they couldn't meet the price, so they came back and we reapproved it again in 2022 with Resolution 2020-22. 2022-11, excuse me. And at that point, we did have to ask for additional funds. They had raised the price from $31.35 per megawatt hour to $34.66. We're now finding ourselves in a situation with the changing environment and the financing ability. The developer needs to do a different financing than it envisioned, and there's enough changes in it that we had to bring it back for reapproval. This is still a 25-year contract. The pricing has not changed. Nothing has really changed as far as the output goes, but it changes under the contract, initial contract, that we had to bring it back in so they can get some tax rebates. Along with that, we've had to renegotiate into it, as we're finding through the UAMPS group, as they start putting more solar and different things in the middle of the day, we get in our shoulder months, which would be sometime in October and basically the April, May time where there's too much power on the system in the middle of the day. So we have negotiated with them to have the ability that as the UAMPS group doesn't need it and we can't sell it, we can shut the system down, and then we have to pay them what their profits would have been in there. The other thing we've worked it out is we're looking at putting this into a prepay, but we have to run it for a year before we can do that. And if the market stays correctly, what it does with the prepay, it allows us to use the leverage between private and public financing, and there could be a margin similar to what we've done on our natural gas, which we could lower that price down just a little bit. And the other thing that it has done is we've negotiated with them to either have them give us a proposal to install battery storage, or if they don't come up with a proposal, they would give us the space to install it on their site, battery storage, to again mitigate some of that middle of the afternoon excess power that you're running into in the middle of the afternoon. So it would be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we approve Resolution 2023-14 with the revised conditions, pricing, and the 25 years stays the same, which authorizes the mayor to sign the resolution and continue with the contract. This is roughly 6.5 megawatts. So between this project, which is anticipated to be online in the middle of November, and our Red Mesa project, we'll have roughly 12 megawatts of solar, which is roughly 1,200 homes, rooftop homes. So it's quite a few homes that are putting in. The great thing that we're seeing with the utility grade is it's not just sitting on a roof at a certain angle. It actually starts in the morning facing to the east and tracks across during the day and goes into the evening. And they're also putting what they call sails on both sides. So in the evening, as it comes back across, basically the sun hits the solar on the back and bounces, and it's actually giving an increased generation. So we're getting out of our Red Mesa probably 20% more power than we had anticipated, and it's lasting. Obviously, it's dark out there now, so it's going to be shut off, but it's giving us 10 to 14 hours of power during the day, so it's working out real well. So again, it'd be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we ask you to approve Resolution 2023-14, which is included in your packet.
Mayor, may I ask a question? Alan, I really appreciate all of the negotiation points that you bring to our attention that will help benefit Bountiful City in the future. I'm just curious about the battery storage. Is there, as you mentioned that as one of the negotiating points, is that something that you anticipate UAMPS will eventually do, or a kind of a timeline if the provider solar, still solar doesn't do it, when UAMPS might do that?
Yeah, again, battery storage of some type is going to be really key to keeping the industry whole. Again, part of what the IPP project is using the salt cavern for the hydrogen. Like I say, batteries will be some sort of a short term. The good thing about putting batteries up there is you don't get the volatility of batteries. I mean, pricing aside, I would love to have batteries in Bountiful now, because Bountiful is that unique, as I call it, a bedroom community. People get up in the morning and most people leave, and then they come home in the afternoon and our load grows. If we could capture some of our morning power and afternoon power that we have to buy in blocks and use that in our evening, it would work out well. Pricing of batteries is still high, but bigger than that, there's some volatility when you start putting batteries together. So I think it will be into the future, yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I was just going to maybe point out something that this contract has a unique feature, this resolution has a unique feature about, what to do if we don't need this power, and how you might handle that process. And I just want to contrast it with the unique feature we have with the IPP plant and the ability to completely lay off power at zero cost. And that even though this is a cool, unique feature, it's not laid off at zero cost.
No.
And so I'm just pointing that out because I'm deeply worried about what we'll face at the legislature in attacking a resource that has contract provisions that are spectacularly unique and helpful in managing our portfolio. This is a cool and unique feature that isn't often seen. So it's also one to be celebrated, but it's not quite as cool as the other one.
Well, let's just say the IP project has got the ability to run at minimum and ramp up. That's one of the advantages we have with our current in-house generation. We can start and stop and do that same thing. So you're seeing more and more of this that has to be built in for the renewables to meet because they're all happening in the middle of the afternoon, so.
I have one more question. So with this and the Red Mesa coming on, what percentage of our power resource is solar?
You know, I should have that number. Like I say, we'll have 12 megawatts, which, like I say, in the summer, it's 80 megawatts. In the shoulder months, like right now, we're running at 40. So you could have something, 30% of our power during the day, during the shoulder months to something in the neighborhood of 20-25%. But the energy component, I'm trying to remember, I should have looked the number up again, but I think it's gonna give us 13% overall of our energy requirements will be coming from our utility grade solar. But I'll get that number and send it to you for sure, but that's what I've got stuck in my mind. But I mean, I have it on my computer, I just haven't looked at it for a day or two.
That's
so.
great. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-14, which authorizes the Steel Solar 1A project, second amended and restated transaction schedule.
Second.
That's a second with Councilman Higginson, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. And now on to our next item, to consider approval of the purchase of 23 transformers.
Yes, this is transformers that we went out to bid, and you'll notice that we have 20 of the 100 kVA transformers, and we have had a run the last little bit, and we've dropped our supply down to where we need to bring it up, as well as part of getting power for the fiber, we'll be using a few of them into the future. So we found we needed to go out and purchase some to get our stock rebuilt back on those. You'll also find that there are 2 300s, which we have used on projects in the city in the last little bit, so we're down to just a spare. So we do need to bring some more in here, as well as the 500, which will be used on a project. I believe it's Bountiful Elementary is what they've got this one identified for. So as we move forward onto this, we don't have a year to get these transformers in. So it will be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we take the high bid from Annixter Power Systems for $227,098 because they have got a 26-week delivery, which is still 6 months, versus a little over a year for the next lowest bid. So that would be our recommendation. I will point out that Councilman Higgins made a very good recommendation that we should probably go visit with the low bidder and possibly purchase the low bid ones that would come in a year, so we would have for their next tranche at the lower price because they're less. But like I say, we'll have to dig out the pricing on that. We would bring that back to you later, but I thought that was a great recommendation on his part. But anyway, for tonight, the Power Commission staff would like to recommend that we approve the high bid from Annixter Power Systems for the 23 transformers for $227,098 with the 26 to 28 week delivery.
Mayor, may I ask a question? Yes. Alan, over the last couple of years, we've just seen extreme price increases in every area of power delivery. And I'm just wondering, with these costs, and I know I understand the rationale for wanting to go for the high bid because we have a time consideration here, but what are you seeing just overall in the marketplace? Are you seeing a plateauing, or do you feel like we're still in the upward trajectory for inflationary pressure on all these kinds of things?
6 months ago, I thought we were starting to see ease off or plateau, but it's actually going up again. And I kind of use the rationale, it's like during COVID when toilet paper become non-existent, people are hoarding and buying more and setting more in their yard, and it's driving the cost up. So the costs are still going up. A lot of times we can't even get them to give us bids when you're talking a year and a half out. They they'll just tell you, we're far enough out, we can't guarantee what the pricing is going to be, and won't even give it to us. So pricing does not seem to be dropping down.
So with that in mind, with just the recommendation that you had mentioned regarding Councilmember Higginson's idea that we try and pursue maybe some of these lower bids just
Yeah.
for our inventory,
Yes.
do we have money for that in our capital projects
Well,
fund?
what we do is
right
when
now?
we purchase transformers, we put them all into inventory, which so it will affect our cash, and then we just bring them out as needed. So we've got a couple $1 million of inventory at the power department. So bringing them in, it would bring our inventory up a little bit, but it won't affect our yearly budget until we use them. And in this case, we end up using 3 big transformers, which is why this is so big. And some of this is out of our control. When one of them was at the cleaners, where they have got to do the pump system down there, and they're gonna have to do it for the next several years to clean the groundwater up. So they've came in here, and we didn't see that one coming because we didn't know what was happening. But they, people like that can't wait for a year. I mean, they're ready to go, and we want one here in 30 or 60 days. And so like I say, we've still got a couple projects like the 5 Points or the Bruce Broadhead period, the Renaissance Center there, where there are going to be several big transformers that we have not yet got an idea what they're going to be. But, when they get ready, we're not going to be able to tell them, well, we'll give it to you in a year and a half. So we have to keep inventory of even the big ones in case we have a failure or somebody has an upgrade.
So I just want to be clear for myself, because I had said capital projects, but you're saying this isn't capital project. These are just our regular budgeted
Yeah.
items, and we
Yeah, like-
always keep a good inventory.
Yeah, we
and
keep
have the
an
money to do
inventory,
this.
but again, going back to the Renaissance Center, they're submitting plans. When they get ready to come in here, they're going to come to us and we'll decide, okay, this is the size transformer you need. We then send them a bill, so we'd get reimbursed for that. But we still have to have them in inventory because they are so far out, so.
Will we likewise be billing the school district for this transformer? Yeah. Well, I love the idea of Councilman Higginson's idea of trying to, take advantage of this low price, even if it's quite a ways out. So I appreciate that you're willing to look at that. Any other discussion?
That gave me an idea. So if this cost is passed on to the subscriber, how does that cost get determined? Is that a predetermined and a fixed number, or are we charging them the cost that it cost us?
The cost that it costs us. I mean, at this point, like I say, if we're coming back and they need it, we sit down and give them what our cost estimate is, which includes the current price of transformers and wire and all the other stuff. We'll tell them what's going to cost us this much money, so it reimburses for the full amount that we're spending on it.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the transformer purchase as outlined by our power director.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Alan Johnson will now move to the next item, to consider purchase of 200 LED post-top fixtures.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is another item we did take to the Power Commission this morning. As you know, as we've been moving forward to replace some of our older, less efficient lights with the more efficient LED lights, they come with several benefits. One is they use less electricity. So basically, as the price of power goes up, especially as nighttime power goes up, this power becomes less that we have to supply to keep the lights going. This fixture is what they call a multi-voltage, multi-dimming, so we can use the same fixture in a residential and basically adjust it so that it dims down, or if you need it on a collector, you can increase the brightness or the intensity of the light depending on where it needs to be. It is within our budget. We had identified to replace these and move forward to give us a longer duration, because some of our high-pressure sodiums, they're supposed to have long lives, but they cycle. You see lights that are blinking on and off. And that's not by purpose, that's because when they start failing, that's what they end up doing. And so we spend a lot of time replacing bulbs and working on it. So this will not only increase or decrease our power usage, but it will lower our maintenance costs to go out and work on the lights as we have to go out and keep changing them. I was pointed out that some of the LED lights, if you drive around, you may still see a purple light or two. They've had a manufacturing problem. I mean, they've all been covered under warranty, but that is not something we're planning on putting purple lights up. That is a byproduct of a failure of it. But it is say there's been a few people, when we've changed them, they've called us and we want our purple light back. We really like that color. But like I say, we may still get more of them. Because again, when they first came in, they looked at the lots and they thought we'd only have 5 or 6, and we're up to about 18 or 20 that we know of so far. So as we see them, we'll just change them out, and the manufacturer's been really good at replacing them for us. So these should not be going purple, but I will never say never because I didn't expect it to happen the first time, but it's not on purpose. So anyway, it'd be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we take the low bid from Annixter Power Solutions for the 200 LED lights for $71,956.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Thanks. Now we'll move to consider approval of the quote from Sidewinder, Mr. Alan Johnson.
Yes, if you remember, we talked a little bit, and there's some pictures included in here that this summer we was running our Pineview hydro and it shut down. And we got up here and we hired Sidewinders to come work with us. When we found out that how you do this is you run DC power through the center of it, which converts it to the AC. The harder you put more DC in. Well, it did fail, and we put a temporary splice on it. And the splice was meant to hold us through the year. And when we needed to basically get back in and put a permanent connection in, which would be new wire, and soldering it back up to what they call the rotor in the center. We have worked with Sidewinder, and they come through and gave us a price for $39,790 to come in, tear it back apart, replace this wire cable right up into the generator, and they'll also clean the generator. It's got 30 years of dust and buildup in there, so they'll clean that out while they're in there. They've scheduled tentatively to do this the first week in November. I will point out, with Mother Nature being kind to us, we anticipate both Pineview and Echo will run through the whole winter at this point. I mean, Mother Nature could shut down and they may stop, but right now that's what they're planning on. So we will currently run Pineview until the 15th of October. It'll be down for 4 days and then start back up. So we will have to shut this down and lose some water for that week while they do that. But that was the only week that they had that would get us into it to get it repaired, and we'll be ready for the winter and even for next year. So it'll be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we approve the quote from Sidewinder for the total of $39,790. Again, this was not really budgeted, but we believe we've got money within both the hydro account and also the contingency we'll identify to fund this project. So
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Pineview generator repairs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we will consider approval of the purchase of a new cable puller.
yes, Mayor and Council, what I've got before you is we currently have 2 pullers, and they're the 1990 version. And they're getting to the point that we can't get parts. They're becoming unreliable. We use these when we pull in new cables or existing cables, and we do use them some for overhead also. But we're finding that when we use them, we can't get them to work. It's not working the way it is. So we've actually budgeted to buy a new underground puller. And you see there's kind of a picture on the back. And on this, it includes both a puller. It's got an air compressor. It's all built into one. One of the things that we do now, if we're going to pull in wire, you have to install the conduit. Then we come up with an air compressor and we'll blow a string through the pipe. And then we have to hook a bigger cable and pull it back through. And then we hook it to a bigger cable, so you've got to do this multiple times. This one is what they call a parachute, where you can put it in here with a built-in air compressor that's on the unit, blow it through and actually pull what they call a pull line through with it. So they've come up with some things that will make life a little easier. The other thing, this one's got some measuring where when you're pulling, you tell the tension. Because like I say, you've got to be careful as you're pulling underground cable. If you hit something and you pull it too hard, you'll actually damage the cable. This you can allow it to set it to where it won't exceed that damage rating for the cable. So it'd be the Power Commission staff's recommendation that we take the low bid from Hayes Enterprises for the Connex for the total of $197,000. And again, we've identified $210,000 in our capital funds budget to purchase this.
Make a recommendation to approve as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you, and sorry to have to talk so much tonight. Thank you.
We appreciate all your work.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to move that we convene in a closed session to discuss the acquisition or sale of real property, pending litigation, and/or the character and competency of an individual as outlined in state code.
Second.
Okay, that's seconded by Councilwoman Price Hewish, and it's a roll call vote.
$835 million right now.
Aye.
Council,
Yes, do I say yes?
yeah, either one. Aye works. Councilmember Higginson.
Aye.
Councilmember Price Hewish. Aye. Councilmember Bradshaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Bell.
Aye.
Thank you for allowing me to use my whatever you call this thing.